Hello, everyone. I kind of wanted to talk about Monday night school board meeting. I wish I could have been there. I had some issues where I couldn't drive there, but I did watch the meeting. Um, they didn't do anything. It ended, what, midnight? I don't remember, 11, but it was a complete waste of time. They did the consent agenda items. I'm really disappointed in the school board on the snack issue. And I wish I could have made my public comments. I'm going to do a quick summary of it now. Is when Nicole Cole the week before made a motion to fund it for the year, we need to do something. Some of the objections that came out, I agree with. There are grants, things like that. But here's the thing is we have 4 flat tires on our car. Our kids can't learn if they're hungry. They need these snacks. And this is a real issue, and I'm going to address some of that in a second. So what I was hoping this board would do was temporarily fund it, take, $50,000 out of the carryover funds, set up the snacks now, because not every school needs it, and not every school has the same needs, and then fund it as they're going through the grants and studying the problem, looking through the solution. Instead, they're just studying the problem. So let me go through the board objections that they had the week before. Don Shelley said she was against it because she didn't want to make work for the social workers. And I've talked to multiple social workers. The only objection I've heard to that is, they're concerned about the red tape, as far as the red tape would make work. Most of them say, well, I could just buy it online. One social worker said, well, I'm already spending so much time going out and meeting people and trying to scrounge food for my kids. That would actually save me time. So the biggest thing is just the red tape. And I wanted to tell the story of one social worker, and this is how desperate some of these schools are, not all of them. I have one social worker met me on a Sunday afternoon to have an introduction to somebody who could partially help the food situation at that person's school. That's how dedicated our staff is. And there's multiple social workers doing these things. But meeting on a Sunday afternoon and taking your time to go meet with somebody who could help feed your kids, that's important. So on the other ones, as far as Ms. Phelps and Mr. Boozable saying they didn't hear about it, well, my wife talked about it in September. I talked about it in October. Ms. Phelps actually laughed at me as I was talking about it. I posted that video. There were 2 articles in the paper. So much social media. Ms. Phelps is active on Nextdoor, and I've posted it and asked her those questions, and she'd ignored those, but yet she'd never heard of it. It is a real problem. The person saying it's not a problem, it's manufactured. Actually, every school on our list has asked to be on the list. I first learned about this because one of the schools posted a request for donations and listed a bunch of snacks. So I called them and said, what's going on? What's the issue? So they told me, and so I made a donation. I then called another school admin person that I knew. I'm like, because I'd help with feeding issues fast. Is this a real issue? And they said, yes. So I put them on my list. And then from there on, it's just snowballed with schools reaching out. I've told whenever I put a new school on the list, I'm like, talk to any of the social workers if they need to be added. The reason there's a list, not every school's on the list, is because some schools have churches that are doing it. As a matter of fact, we've had a total of 3 schools come off our list. 2 had civic organizations, and then, of course, Salem Elementary had Paragon Gymnastics step up. So, there are people stepping up, but that's still temporary. And, and Miss Phelps, I wanted to talk specifically what you said about Spotswood. That offended my wife and I. My wife and I are in Spotswood Elementary twice a week giving food. First of the week we go in and we give for the snack issue. And what you said was, well, there's not a problem. When my kids were in Spotswood, and by the way, our sons were in Spotswood at the same time. When I was in Spotswood, I would see they'd have extra weekend bags of food. They don't need that. Well, I know their numbers. They get 10 bags of food to take home for the homeless kids and the kids in financial problems from the REACH program. The social worker there is making 47 additional bags. So for you to put out, they don't need food, Ms. Phelps, when you put out misinformation, you're hurting the situation. So that's on the snack issue. The board needs to step up, temporarily fund something while they're studying and applying for the grants. Then after all the public comments, the board made their comments. Mr. Taylor made his comments where he called any parent who objected to him part of a mob. And then basically they just said, well, we're not going to do old new business. We're tired, so let's go. And they've done that twice now. So they don't want to do the business of the board. They don't want to do their jobs. Anyways, that's it in a nutshell what happened last night. Who knows what's going on next? Let's just keep paying attention, everybody. Thank you.